Hello and welcome back to With here. Today we're diving into a topic that's pretty crucial in the financial world. KYC, or Know Your Customer. It's not just a bunch of letters. It's like the bouncer at the entrance of a financial club, making sure everything stays legit. So grab your popcorn, hit that like and subscribe button, and let's get started. First things first, what exactly is KYC? Well, KYC stands for Know Your Customer. It's a process where financial institutions like banks make sure that they know who they're dealing with. It's like a virtual handshake to keep things trustworthy. Now you might be wondering, how does all this work? Picture this. You want to open a bank account. You share the basics, your name, address, date of birth, and then comes the paperwork. Your passport, driver's license, just to make sure you're not pulling a fast one. Here's a detailed explanation of the KYC process. Number 1. Customer identification. The process begins with the collection of basic information about the customer. This includes details such as name, address, date of birth, nationality, and occupation. In the case of businesses, additional information about the entity's structure, ownership, and business activities is gathered. Number 2 is documentation. Customers are required to provide supporting documentation to verify the information provided during the identification process. Common documents include government-issued identification such as passport, driver's license, or national ID card, proof of address like utility bills, bank statements, and in the case of businesses, incorporation documents. Number 3 is risk assessment. Financial institutions assess the risk associated with each customer based on factors such as their business activities, location, and the nature of transactions. The risk assessment helps determine the level of due diligence required for a particular customer. Number 4, ongoing monitoring. KYC is not a one-time process. Financial institutions continuously monitor customer transactions and periodically update customer information to ensure that it remains accurate and up to date. Any significant changes in customer behavior or transactions trigger further scrutiny. Number 5, regulatory compliance. KYC processes are designed to comply with local and international regulations, which vary across jurisdictions. Financial institutions must adhere to these regulations to prevent money laundering, fraud, and other financial crimes. And number 6, enhanced due diligence, or EDD. In some cases where the risk is deemed higher, enhanced due diligence measures may be applied. This involves obtaining additional information about the customer, conducting more in-depth verification, and assessing the purpose and nature of the business relationship. But why all the paperwork? It's not about making your life difficult. It's about keeping the financial world honest. By checking your documents, they're making sure you are who you say you are. This helps prevent sneaky stuff like money laundering or funding not so friendly activities. Guess what? It's not a one-time thing. The bank keeps an eye on your transactions and updates your info now and then. If there's anything funky going on, they'll take a closer look. It's like a continuous relationship to make sure everything's on the up and up. Now, what if you're doing something a bit riskier, like moving around large sums of money? That's where enhanced due diligence comes in. Just a fancy way of saying they're being extra careful in high-risk situations. So why bother with all this KYC stuff? Well, it's like having a bouncer at the door of a club. KYC helps prevent fraud, stops the bad guys from using the financial system for their shady business, and there are rules. Governments and regulators want to make sure everyone is playing by them. So picture this. Back in mid-2022, Paytm Payments Bank, which is like the banking arm of the popular fintech giant Paytm, hit a major roadblock. The Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, the big boss of banking regulations here, pointed out some serious issues with how Paytm was handling its customers' checks and balances. You know, the KYC stuff, and raised some red flags about possible money shuffling, aka money laundering. Here's what went down. Number 1, KYC slip-ups. RBI found that Paytm dropped the ball on verifying the identities of hundreds of thousands of customers. Like they were missing out on double checking using the same ID for multiple accounts, and even had accounts linked to folks with sketchy pasts. Number 2, money laundering suspicions. There were some eyebrow-raising transactions totaling big bucks happening through accounts that didn't have their KYC ducks in a row. They got authorities thinking there might be some dirty money being washed. Number 3, fudging reports. Paytm apparently wasn't completely honest with RBI, submitting reports that were either incomplete or just plain false about their KYC compliance. Not a good look. So what did the RBI do? In March 2022, RBI was like, okay Paytm, time to pump the brakes. They put the kibosh on Paytm Payments Bank, bringing in any new customers, citing these slip-ups and payments failures to fix them despite getting a heads up. More eyes on the case. They didn't stop there. They passed the baton to the Enforcement Directorate, or ED, to sniff around for potential money laundering shenanigans. And how did Paytm react? Admitting fault, Paytm owned up to the mess and got to work on fixing things. They tightened up on their KYC game and even brought in an outside auditor to give them a once-over, fighting back. But they weren't about to take everything lying down. They argued that maybe the RBI was being a tad harsh and are currently ducking it out in court to try and lift the restrictions. And where are we now? February 2024. Fast forward to today, and Paytm Payments Bank is still on the sidelines when it comes to signing up new customers. Investigation is still ongoing. The ED is still poking around, trying to get to the bottom of those suspicious transactions. The legal drama is still unfolding, and the courtroom showdown, well, that's still playing out with no clear winner yet. And what's the fallout? It's a wake-up call. This whole saga has sparked some serious conversations about how seriously fintech companies take their KYC responsibilities in India and the dangers of cutting corners. Hits and misses for Paytm. It's definitely put a dent in Paytm's growth plans and probably made some folks think twice about trusting them. But how it'll all shake out in the long run is anyone's guess. The need for KYC arises for several reasons. Number one, prevention of money laundering and terrorism financing. KYC helps prevent the use of financial systems for illegal activities by identifying and monitoring customers who may be involved in money laundering or terrorist financing. Number two, fraud prevention. By verifying the identity of customers, financial institutions reduce the risk of fraud and unauthorized transactions. Number three, risk management. KYC enables businesses to assess the level of risk associated with each customer and implement appropriate risk management measures. Number four, regulatory compliance. KYC is a regulatory requirement in many jurisdictions. Failure to comply with these regulations can lead to consequences and financial penalties for businesses. And there you have it. KYC is the process that makes sure everyone's playing fair in the financial world. By knowing who you are, the banks can keep things safe, prevent fraud, and stay on the right side of the law. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.